Good morning, Instagram always pops on first. Good morning, Facebook. So I tried to change the video settings. I'm hoping it worked. I'm praying it worked. Really have no idea, but hopefully. So, happy Friday. I'm glad it's Friday. I've let myself get too upset over too small of things this week. Well, really, Friday doesn't have a lot to do with that, though, because it wasn't work stuff. It was personal stuff, mostly. But, anyways, I think sometimes that happens just so I can seek God even more, and that's fine. That's what I've done with it, and praying for the best. Hi, Jordania. Awesome. Okay, good workmanship is what we're going to talk about. In knowledge and in all manner of workmanship. To labor to the best of their ability. Huh. The Bible speaks approvingly of Bezalel as a worker in metal, stone, and wood. He was filled with the Holy Spirit for craftsmanship. Jacob and his sons were shepherds. Joseph was a prime minister. Daniel was a statesman. Both Joseph and Jesus were carpenters, and some of the disciples were fishermen. So it's just kind of letting you know, yeah, they didn't quit their day jobs, right? Um, and worked at them wholeheartedly as unto God. Um, certain work to do, to labor to the best of their ability. So, the Christian ideal is that we seek God's guidance in performing our daily work in subordination to the Lord at all times. Yes, yes, at 45, I'm finally catching on to that. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. I'm finally catching on to that. Wherever you are, whatever your job is, do it as unto the Lord to the best of your ability. Um, I mean, you got to be faithful with a little to have a lot, is what's coming to my mind. And it's so easy to, and it really, I feel like society, I feel like the worldview is to go for the big, to go straight for the big. Um, but that's the fairy tale that normally doesn't work out for folks. Maybe occasionally, but not enough for everybody to go for it. And I think entirely too many people do. I know I did. I mean, I kept going for more college, and I think young children should be worked with and encouraged to find what they're good at, find what their gift is, because God gave each one of us. I had filled him with the Spirit of God and wisdom and understanding and knowledge and all manner of workmanship to work in gold, silver, bronze, cutting jewels, and carving wood. Um, he puts it inside of each one of us, and it's not the same for everybody because, I mean, obviously, this is a vast world that needs some of every skill. So we need to encourage them to find what God put in them and, develop that, encourage that, nourish that, and work with it and build it and let them flourish in that way. Um, I think that's where the contentment is going to come in later. Of course, most of all, as unto God, doing it as unto God. But Because honestly, I don't know for myself to this day, and it's because I was given that I was pushed for college, 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 without knowing what I just pick something and go, just pick something and go. Look at what people make, and that to me is the worst advice is to go based on what the salary will be, which I did foresee that and didn't necessarily do that because well, the first time I did, because computers, computers, computers. So I got an associate's in computer applications technology. Um, Lo and behold, if I didn't want to go live in the city, which never crossed my mind hardly at all in my life, especially not after having children, um, 25-ish years old, so definitely not now. Well, 20 years, somewhere in there, without stopping and doing the math. So obviously, it's not served me much purpose. Now, as far as sitting down at my computer now and not being completely lost, yeah, but that could have been learned from a friend who has those capabilities instead of going and paying for an education for such. Anyway, my point being, here I am um, and still don't necessarily know, other than to serve, is becoming a love of mine as I grow closer to the Lord. But, to know specifically a trade or a talent, I'm still seeking God on that. Anyway, so pay attention to your kids and, don't just push them to go be a nurse because nurses make good money or a doctor or, doctors and lawyers. That's what everybody always, especially my generation, be a doctor, be a lawyer. Find out what God put in them to be. If you seek Him on it and you pay attention to that child and work with that child, Lenny, after watching the Jesus show twice, well, after the first time at Sight and Sound in Branson, he wants to work there. So I've already found, I guess that's where they get most of their actors, if not all of them. That may be their, anyways, I found a link to it. I haven't dove in very much deeper yet on that, but looking into things they express interest in, especially ministerial. I think that's right. Um, Things because to sit there and watch a wonderful production of the life of Jesus, and then for your son to say that's what he wants to do when he grows up is pretty touching, and I certainly don't want to discourage that any whatsoever. So, anyways, did I get to the end? The Christian ideal is that we seek God's guidance in performing our daily work in subordination to the Lord at all times. Let's not become so absorbed in the things of this life that we have no time for God. For He is the one who inspires us in our gifts, helps us in our work, and blesses us in our obedience. So, in a nutshell, I was seeking the American dream when I should have just been seeking the Lord. And now I'm seeking the Lord, and really that in itself brings contentment in whatever you're doing for a living. It entirely does, and He provides, He provides, He provides. I mean, probably the most prestigious job that I ever had was managing, yes, I'm being sarcastic, managing an Easy Mart. And not prestigious, I know, but best income, I'll say, especially for that era of my life. And that's not much at all, folks. It's not much at all. But, I've managed to raise a child and get one to 15 by doing so. So I could have been content in that had I been seeking God. Had I been seeking God, I could have, I could have been content in that and maybe even moved up in that company or whatnot. But my point is that it's not about the work, it's not about the money. God owns all the money, and He's going to provide for His children. Um, He's going to work all things together, say it with me, for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. So, He is the one who inspires us in our gifts, helps us in our work, and blesses us in our obedience. What pleasures have you experienced from good work done well? Here. You know what I wish I could do for a living probably, and I guess, well, no. I get really satisfied like when I do something that's hard to me, like push them in the yard or clearing a fence row or something. Even though it kills my body, it brings a lot of satisfaction to sweat, to be in the outdoors. It feels closer to God there. And, to be able to look, especially your own property, and see the difference that you've made. But those things grow back, so there comes your consistency. Anyway, so I don't know. I think the work that's the most satisfaction is found in the pleasures I've experienced from work well done is work that I've chosen to do of my own accord, done without anybody telling me, because I wanted to see it accomplished. To do, but God is humbling me in it more every day. And it also can become more or less necessary every day as you learn your job and find your niche and discover your talents that the Lord has given you. So, and I said that about young kids, yes. I say that because that's something we kind of have a handle on. We can control to an extent to invest in them and help them look on themselves and see what talent has God blessed me with. It's so important, and something that I really missed out on as a child. But at any age, you can seek God on that. At any age, you can find. You seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open unto you. Ask and you shall receive. He will grant the desires of your heart according to His perfect will. Because if He's in your heart and He's the Lord of your life, your desires are going to be to please Him. They're going to be in line